nice friend.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I echo Makiva's points, which is I think the additional cameras and the other stuff is good for a variety of reasons, including the training that you point out and data gathering. But let me try to be really simple here, okay? It seems like we're off in another world where it's only real if it's on video. Sure, video helps, okay? But we're a country about people, okay? And we have a lot of stories here that could be investigated. So as Mr. Crowd points out, yes, there are sections of that video, I think there's a longer version, but yes, there are sections of that video. Normally the way that would be investigated was, aside from looking at the video, you would interview the officers, you would interview the witnesses, you would interview all around, and then you would try to come to a combined picture of, a more holistic picture of what happened, and then make a determination. That is possible. That is the way these things are normally investigated, and the way these things are normally tried in court. Okay? So those kinds of things are possible. What I'm disappointed, and severely disappointed, is first I agree with Mr. Crowd on there's really been a lack of oversight on this. It's very disappointing that having, as I just said, a boy who is almost killed, and that's the trigger moment when we have had rear resolution. So the community has been behind that. There's been a lot of other cases where there's been enough publicity. I don't understand why, go back 3 years ago to when the Bluebeard incident, why that didn't generate a reaction from the board to start looking into this. There's been a variety of points made on from a budgetary point of view and stuff like that. There's lots of things that this board could take action, really, if it had the backbone to do that. But, excuse me, but the problem is that you're not doing that. There's plenty of things that are actionable there, and if this were another corporation, they'd easily find themselves a way to look at a complaint that didn't necessarily have to be filed where the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. They'd listen to that, and they'd go dig up that paperwork and take action, and that's what your board needs to do. And I think just collectively here, we're people. It's not about video recorders. It's about people, and they have a say too, and they speak the truth too. Thank you.
We did the demonstration. We did the backup. Basically, everybody came out and rallied to say, so the board could say, you know what, this isn't just Feely with her mouth. This isn't just Makiva with her mouth. This isn't about those bad kids, that the gang members who hang out on the corners. This is about the Greek woman with 4 kids who was harassed until every time she went down the street, the light came on. This is about the woman Jen, who was in a car and got harassed, and Neil, who went to see her, was beaten down. It's about Anthony. It's about baby stroller mother pushed her baby stroller through and is taken off in handcuffs. Her baby left there. It's about me. It's about Adeem. It's about all of these people here. Many people. It's not one story, and they're all different. The problem is you can't say anymore it's just those young adults, those hoodlums, which are the kids that hang out on the street. Now, it's everybody. It's everybody. It's the person at the traffic stop. It's the person who happens to, be driving down the street, and one of your officers, Gilmore, Russ Cabello, I just got a story yesterday. He just put one from 2002.
His family members working.
And they're on the blotter. Look at our blotter. You'll see the stories. And they are complaints. They are complaints.
And they're specific.
Yes, they're specific. We'll be giving you a copy. On February 28th, we're putting together your package so that you have some of these stories. But they're coming. They're continuing to come. And the problem is we're not going to continue to wait and wait and wait. I appreciate all that you're talking about. But at this point, you talk about cameras. I don't trust them to have the camera on. And I don't trust the sergeants who Hernandez has brutalized several. Yes. Rivera, who was brutalized, and I pointed out to Mr. Guerra one time after another that he targeted certain kids. He was promoted. Hey, I said, what? Yeah, he was promoted instead because he was proactive. It's the zero tolerance maximum enforcement that your man at the top and his officers believe in. It doesn't work here. It doesn't work here. We don't need it. We are low crime. Yes, we believe that we want to stay that way. But we don't need somebody being stopped in for a traffic stop, dragged out of the car, handcuffed, and maced. Kimberly, where is Kimberly? Kimberly. And her brother passing by from a basketball game, so he gets maced too, and they both get thrown in the car? Is that real? Do you think that would happen in New York City on the street? Only here does every kid who has standing on a corner not allowed to stay there. Where should they go? You all gave me 2 days at Sports Park. That's great. But where should they go? This is their island. This is where they live. This is their park. But you can't sit there, and you can't hang out here, and you can't be there because you're loitering or you're resisting arrest. My sons don't like you.
Yeah.
Listen, we get your packet. We'll review each and every one. Now go over it with the officers involved.
We're going to bring it to the DA as well.
Yes, ma'am.
As a member of the policy, and having heard all of the testimony, sorry, as a member of the public safety committee, and went to the church and heard everybody's testimonies and all of the meetings, and I've watched the videos of the meetings of the Nelly and C. Jones. I've heard all the testimonies over and over again, and once again tonight. My concern is that, yes, I'm concerned about the meetings, but what's even more concerning to me is the lack of common sense. To somebody like myself, who I felt like I was an objective observer when I went into this, and I feel like a lot of other people have been swayed that went in as objective observers. There's a serious lack of common sense when you watch the arrest, or the testimony of the arrest, both, and a child is left in a stroller for something so petty, and a deli is left unattended with the cash register full of cash with nobody guarding it, and nobody guarding the products for something so petty. What you're seeing is a lack of common sense, because they're considering something so menial to be more important than something so grand, like an open cash register, products unattended, a child in a stroller that could be kidnapped, molested, raped, and returned. I mean, come on. This is ridiculous. This is a serious lack of common sense. It's not just brutality. And that's what I'm hearing.
I take these issues very seriously. We're trying to work the time to get everything compiled, we go through it, and we also, so that's short-term stuff. The tips are getting through that. Longer-term stuff, we have to figure out how can we put some kind of framework in place where we can control and monitor the behavior that the officers are exhibiting.
I have a question for those of you who see the video footage. How long did it take for someone to come back and lock up that door on the deli? I have a question. You people keep referring to the video footage. I'm asking, how long did it take for someone to come back and lock up the deli?
I personally haven't spoken to
The reason you don't know and I don't know.
The person on the committee that is dealing with the deli probably knows that answer, and I'm sure
The
he's
reason
asking.
you don't know and I don't know right now is because the footage stops at the point where, so now you're saying the deli was left unattended. You don't know that. The last thing you'll see is officers taking one of the clerks out.
Right.
I'm saying that if you're going to make complaints to an outside agency, you can't just show the footage. You have to explain what happened before and what after. I know McKeeva's got a version of the story, and she cares very much about her children. God knows everybody should care about their children. But you don't know. We can't act on what you're telling us until you can make some sense out of it. And if you go to an outside agency, they'll say, where's the rest of the footage?
Mr. Crowd, well, one of the things that you do see fully in the video is all the arrests. And all the arrests happened without questioning being taken. Every of the individuals who were arrested in the video, it has the proof that no questions were asked. They were immediately arrested.
I saw that.
And the moment of, are you doing something wrong? What are you doing here? Was jumped.
Right.
And that moment is the moment where you define common sense. Where common sense tells you that the deli guy hasn't done anything wrong because he's working.
Right.
And then,
No, that's a fact. That's a fact.
Excuse me. I'll give you a fact that I saw on the tape. I saw 2 public safety officers attempting to corral a young man who didn't want to be corralled, and take him down to the ground. Or excuse me. I've heard you. And have him take. Or he took them down to the ground. Hard to say. I also saw something that no one has quite mentioned here. Is at one point one of the officers speaks into his microphone.
Yes, we saw that.
Yeah, you saw that.
Yeah.
Now I'll ask one of these hypothetical things you're all so fond of. If it had been 2 NYPD officers attempting to corral the kid, would all the other people have been sneaking up closer and closer to the action? I'm asking you because you guys have as much sense about New York NYPD as I do. Would they have?
No,
That's the first question. Second question: if an NYPD officer called for help, and 4 additional NYPD officers flooded the space, and they saw a bunch of people surrounding 2 NYPD officers who were trying to do their job.
No, it wasn't
The
surrounding.
surrounding
No,
gang
Can we
party.
ask-
What were they doing? No hypotheticals.
can we ask that NYPD officers?
They would have arrested everybody in sight, and most of them.
Realistically, without trying to find a defense for your boys.
I don't think you're trying to bog us down in the minutia of a particular thing and get us bogged down in this.
Well, you keep coming to us in the minutia, saying
we are saying, and it's very clear. Do you think, honestly, that 300 people would have showed up at a demonstration, that we would have had all this outpouring, that we would have had all these stories if there wasn't a problem? Is this just coming out of thin air? Is it some, conspiracy from Moldavia or China or something that electrodes are being, chips that are being activated? No, there's a saying, when there's smoke, there's fire. There's a lot of smoke, obviously, that there's a lot of stories. It's not realistic to think that this much of anger would be coming out if there wasn't a clear basis for this activity. So we're not saying we don't want to get bogged down in the minutia, although we are, as I said, going to present you with tremendous documentation and stories. We could be here all night listening to the stories of people, and it's not conjecture. It's not, hearsay. That's ridiculous to say that. These are documented cases of people that are really sticking their neck out by doing this. So that's what's going to happen. But the responsibility, the onus is on you, on this board to act. It makes no sense to talk about these future reforms until we deal with the question at hand right now, which is new leadership.
Right.
We want justice based on what has happened in the past. Once we get a new leadership of public safety on this island, then I think we will have the best atmosphere to discuss the long-term stuff that Michael was talking about. But until you deal with the immediate problem right now, the long-term stuff it's surreal. It's not of this world. The board doesn't act, and our movement will continue and will grow. We are not dependent. We want you to act now. We would like nothing better than to disband our protest movement and get to the question of reforms and all that stuff. I would love that. It's taken up. I'm too old to be dealing with this stuff as many hours as I've been dealing with it. However, until if you guys refuse to act, if you put your head in the sand, if you hope it's going to go away, it's not going to go away. We are going to continue to build a movement. The 300 you saw will become 500, will become 1,000. We're going to get petitioned. We're not stopping. We're going to all of our elected officials, all the politicians. We're going to fight on every single front. And we're going to increase the pressure. On you. If you don't want to do that, DVD of the 4th season of Breaking Bad that I'm dying to watch. But this is what we're going to do, and we're going to escalate. So do the right thing.
Thursday, you're going to give us specifics on these incidents that you're talking about, right? Yes, back to the specifics. You can't say, okay, we're going to take, no, let me say something. We're not going to listen to stories from people that won't give us specifics and say, okay, we'll just fire everybody over here because these guys are telling us stories. We hear their side, we want to hear your side. But if you don't tell us your side with specifics, we can't do anything.
You have my
story. Give them to me.
You have my story. I filed it with Director Guerra on June 2008. Renee Bryant dealt with us when they pushed my son's head through the cracked window. You have that story. I filed it with you.
Okay, ma'am.
I met with Steve Shane. Nothing happened. I even had this suit against you, but I dropped it because it wasn't worth putting my son through it, and I came and being vetted for your board. I got a lot of votes. I didn't get in. I wonder why, but I dropped it. The lawsuit. I'm not interested in the lawsuit. I'm just interested in making sure this is a safe community for everybody who came here to live in a safe community. I came here to raise my son. I am terrified even now, and my son is in college, and my son works 2 days a week when he doesn't go to school. I'm terrified for him to go out every night. Terrified. I had been since he was 15 and he was thrown through that plexiglass window. Terrified, knowing that he did nothing. He was out of my house 2 minutes when he went down the street and Rivera and Hernandez attacked them. Terrified. Every day, do you have your ID? What are you doing? Where are you going? No, you can't go out. Do you really need to go? No, I'm just going to the house, Mom. I'm going to see Alberto. No. You sure? Every parent here feels that way. Should we really feel that way? That we don't feel comfortable? My kid is 20 now. I don't want him arrested. I don't want a record that he then can't get a job. I watched them destroy the lives, and I discussed it with Mr. Guerra as it was happening of other children who are now have records for minor stuff, who got attitudes, who ended up developing with a chip on their shoulder because of the constant harassment from his officers, the same officers he promoted. Same officer, Sergeant Hernandez, is still here. Nothing ever happened, no apology, nothing ever happened. He's still here. He did it to me, he did it to Lane's son, he's done it to me. Over and over. You have the complaints, Margie. You have mine. 2008. June 2008. Happened on Roosevelt Island.
Starters.
And I was here before I came here.
And yours was 2009,
Mine
Elaine.
was 2008 also. I have 5 complaints and no one ever responded.
Okay.
So they're there.
Yes, ma'am. Hold on a second. Okay. For starters, I wasn't on the board 2008.
No one was on the board. I
I
spoke
was.
to Steve
Okay.
Sheen. Yeah, well, we know.
Okay.
I spoke to Steve Sheen.
Up until this recent situation, okay, the complaints haven't come to me. These issues were going on. I'm saying. Now, when this incident happens, please come to me. As chair of operations committee, I said we have to look into this. And I brought in senior staff and questioned what would happen. They give me some reports. You guys give me some reports. Now, you're saying now there's all these other incidents going on, but I don't have a record of it. And I wasn't on the board when these things happen to you.
Again, you don't have a record because people are afraid the process
I
that
hear
you
you.
have to make
I hear
complaints is
Yes, ma'am.
intimidating.
Okay, I hear you.
Now,
But,
with
ma'am, as the door operations committee, these things happen. I'm requesting that you get them to the operations committee,
Which one?
not to the public safety, and we will start reviewing them one by one. And we will go through all of them. Okay? What we need to do, we'll discuss with the consultant what we should do. We will take a look at the facts and circumstances of each case and figure out what needs to be done.
So how long are we looking at, Michael? Because what the residents and what this committee wants is we want Garrett out, we want his cronies out. We understand it leaves a vacuum, but we believe the vacuum can be filled. So we want to know, how long are we looking at?
Yeah.
How long are we going to have to stick to the streets and make sure that we come out and make sure that we keep going? I keep writing to the governor, I'm on number 2. I've got Serrano supporting this and Kellner supporting that. Maybe Kellner spoke to you today. But how long?
We'll see.
But you see, that's not a good comment. That's
Not
not
a
a
good
good
comment,
comment.
but okay, if right now, what do we have? We have some public safety comments. Just like it was you and your job, if a customer complains, you would expect someone to look into it. You would expect to be fired based upon what somebody else said.
If I had as many people saying, I mean, honestly, the number of people that always identify the same officers who are now sergeants,
Yes,
and
ma'am, I don't have
a director who every time our committee brought things, not only first tried to sort of slander me and turn it around so that he would try to get rid of me, didn't work, but ignored our concerns, didn't listen to our advice on trying to integrate it into the community, thought that, oh, they're nothing, they're social workers or whatever. I mean, what about interface and being part of this community?
Yes.
What about policing, community policing that's part of this? Yeah.
The next day I was fired from the bus without an explanation.
Yeah, how about that?
I worked part-time for the RIOC bus. I was told, sign this paper or we're going to fire you. No explanation or nothing.
Who actually said that to you, Neil?
This was the bus supervisor.
That's your guys.
This was the next, I'm talking about they don't fire you the next day. And this had nothing to do, my working on the bus had nothing to do, because I was off duty, had nothing to do with that. But the exact next day, I was told, oh, RIOC's going to let you go. For what? We can't explain that. That's not acceptable.
It's interesting it happens in one case and not another.
Send it to the Inspector General to get his opinion.
But ma'am, you said it went to the Inspector General, but then you said, I'm sorry, I don't know why nothing's been done. So what if everybody put complaints to you and then you bring it to the Inspector General and nothing gets done? Then what?
Then we do something, but we can't do anything.
But you just said that nothing got done and you brought it to the Inspector General already.
So now it didn't go. So now nothing got done. Yeah, that doesn't mean nothing's going to get done. It doesn't mean he's not going to get back to us.
Who authorized Neil's
Apologize for
Okay, wait a
Good
second.
question.
It's
Good
not-
question.
Thank you.
Do we? Okay. The board. Okay. In that situation, the board was told to resign.
He resigned because he was told he had to resign or be fired. Who wants it on your record? If they told you the same, they told me the same thing, I resigned too. Right? Because just like I might plead down on something little so that I don't have to spend $10,000 in court. All of the things that all of the times that you say, when Garrett said, oh, he pled guilty so he could go home. He pled guilty so he didn't have to spend $10,000 fighting to bring his case down because personally, we have to pay. We don't get legal defendants. So if I go in and something happens and my son is arrested for a misdemeanor and they plead down, do I fight it? Do I hire someone who cost me $3,000 every time he goes to court? I can't afford to. So yeah, I say, okay, plead down so that in 6 months, if I can keep you out of their hands, everything is all right. Neil did the same thing. Did he pled guilty? What choice did he have?
Station and missed pay for the rest of his time. Now he's fired from RIOC. He missed that money for the rest of the month. So now other people have to support that. So where's that money coming from? Guerra, that he faked his injuries, right? But you have no response now.
Mr. Pallaby, what do you think about this? Faye, what do you think about this? I'd like to know what your opinion is about what your community that elected you is saying. I tell you, we have the majority, I'm convinced, of public opinion on this island supports what we're doing. When we've been out leafleting, we've had a tiny minority of hostility, a layer of indifference, but the majority has been very friendly, very receptive, and very open to all of our material. What is your response? Faye, what is your response, Howard? Tell us, what's your response to what your community is saying?
Personally, or as a board member?
No, I don't.
Well,
Personally, you're both. No, is there a difference? You're saying one thing is public and another thing is private? Is that what you're saying?
no, I'm just saying that, yeah, no, there it is, because I'm a board member, that means.
But you're a member of the community.
Yes, I am.
That's why we fought for you to have that position, because you are a resident here who understands the new needs of this community. So do you have to take off both one hat to wear the other?
You don't have to take them off, but you have to also remember that we have two lawyers sitting here. And there's some things that we can discuss, there's some things we can't. It depends on how we say things. That's why I say.
How you say things?
Oh, yeah. You know that. So what's your opinion?
So in other words, you could
David,
say things
I
without one?
I
Use your words.
agree with you that we should definitely investigate. I'm not happy about our children being arrested and hurt and harmed. Not at all. And I always felt that, I've always felt that our children should not be arrested. They should be spoken to, sent home, and then maybe if something continues, that's different. But I have to tell you, I'm in agreement. I don't want to see our children with records. I do not like it either.
Are you willing to act on that sentence?
Yes, I'm willing, but you have to realize that we do have to look at certain things a certain way. And we do have to make sure we do things a certain way. We cannot just act.
Why not?
Because we can't.
Why can't you?
We have a certain,
You know why
legal
You
way.
can fire him. You can fire
Yes, we
him
can fire him,
tomorrow.
but we still must do certain things.
Oh, you guys are excuse me. I think for the people, the residents of Roosevelt Island, I think the gentleman here said that earlier it's the country of the people. We have to go beyond civil suits and take it to a criminal court, right? The people versus either the Guerrero, or the public safety department. And that's the case that if the statements, what we say here, are true, when we put in that case, then you prosecute.
We're going to.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to rehab the same things over again.
I just want to say that between now and when this gets resolved, one of the things that we really need to hear from the board and from the public safety department is a change in attitude of investigators without questioning them, really questioning them. We're seeing too many cases and hearing too many cases over and over and over again at these testimonies in the church and otherwise, where people are being arrested and handcuffed and legally treated without being really properly questioned about and listening to the answers. It's like they'll ask a question, but they won't even listen to the defense or the answer before acting. I really feel that it's important that since we're leaving this building tonight, between the time that we leave this building tonight and the time that the board makes decisions, or the VA makes decisions, or the criminal attorneys make decisions, we need to hear a commitment from the public safety department, from the board of directors, that this behavior is not going to continue between the investigations. Because this can't, people can't be treated like that. They're not even waiting for answers.
Yes, ma'am. We did some discussions with NYPD and other folks about what we should do, both on our policies, because the officers need to be properly trained, need to be advised as to how we are going to interpret and implement the law here, within the framework of what New York State law is and New York City ordinances. So that's a very complicated situation. You know, if a person is double parked, they get a ticket. If a person is so we need to work these things out. How we manage this process. It's not going to change overnight. Okay, and again, everyone up here on this side, we're volunteers. We're going to do the best we can. So we're going to be reviewing everything we're going to be going through all your cases. We still, part of this, I'll get to you in a second. Part of this, we still have to take care of all the other stuff with the Cornell and the other things we have to take care of. We're going to try to get to this, and we are working on it. If I was going, and I'm going to be, it's like interviewing all the officers, but there's 30-something officers, and even if you do one a day, which you can't do for work, that's 2 months to interview each and every officer. Now we're going to hire consultants to come in to help us with this process. We've discussed this. We got an RFP out. It's going to be posted. They will be helping us to review what's going on and give us recommendations as to how we need to change either the training, the policies. If the recommendations about changing leadership and how they're operated, the board will review that at the time. But even with what you guys are calling, if we could wave a magic wand and say, if the public safety is the condition that you are saying, and we could wave a magic wand and they were gone, then the problem would be, then you have all the officers unattended. And it would take us some time, it would take us some time to interview and replace them. So we could maybe work on the
Put it in the New York Times.
So it's not as simple as what you're complaining.
It is.
You say you can't fire Director Guerra, but why can't you fire him on incompetence? You're talking, he came and he reported in that last operations committee when he wanted his tasers, and he reported what a great job he had done, and he cited all his accomplishments, and these are his guys. He made sure we knew that he had fired the bad ones, and he had hired new ones, and these were his men, and he had trained them, and he was proud of this force. Yet this is the same force that you're now telling me we need to come in and find new people to train them. We need to find other people to tell us how people should be arrested. We need to retrain them. That's what he's here for, isn't it? Isn't he the one who is in charge of this force? That's why I'm saying to you, he's the man. Incompetence, if nothing else. He told us, these are his boys. Why are they so lousy? Why are they so abusive? If he trained them, why do we need to retrain all of these people? Why are we looking at 3 months, 4 months more, looking at this whole process again? You can fire somebody for incompetence.
You're making an assumption.
I'm not making an assumption. I heard the report. He gave
You're
me
making
numbers.
one assumption. I'm going to tell you what it is.
Again, okay.
You're making an assumption that an outside observer, or an ombudsman, would come in here and say that all your cases were valid. Now, they may be. But this board is not going to act just because the crowd keeps the 30 people yelling at us.
You just said you needed to have these people trained. You said you needed to have these people.
Let's go! Let's go! You're not going to respond to the community. We're out of here. Let's go! Let's go! Our movement will continue. Our struggle will continue.
Good night. Trying to say something.
Yes, I would like to hear this.
Okay, I can speak personally. Why? Because I can't speak as a board member tonight, because it would be not permitted under state law. Okay, so I'm speaking personally here. We're having an audit come in, an operational audit, to figure out how to run the public safety department in a better fashion. Why are we doing that? Because we individually lack the time and lack the expertise to understand what we have. We hear reports that someone made a complaint and it wasn't followed through, wasn't brought forward. We're bringing someone in independent, so it'll be objective, to understand and interview whoever has complaints and see that the process exists, that's followed, and that we have a way of assuring ourselves that we have an operating department. Now, I understand your frustrations, especially with the leadership, but the leadership didn't do many of these acts to you. It was persons. It was members of the force. And you don't have a complaint with them. If you have a complaint with the individuals, they have to be brought forward. I don't care about his philosophy right now. I care about the person who did something to your son.
Even if that's true, Howard, even if that's true, and it's not on the face of it, because he's responsible.
He is
Even if
responsible
that's
for
true,
his
he
people.
has
I'm
refused to
responsible.
act
How can I
against
do
those
something?
officers.
How can I
He has
ask him?
refused to
Excuse me,
act
sir.
against those officers.
Excuse me,
When
ma'am.
he has
Sir.
given-
He is speaking. He has the floor at the moment.
How can I ask him to resign if I'm not willing to move against the people who acted inappropriately
You should.
directly?
All of them, all of them.
You should,
Starting
we can
with
tell you
Torrance.
Torrance.
And
The
Hernandez
kids
and
were
Rivera.
Hernandez,
Yeah.
Rivera's
For
gone.
Torrance, all of them.
She's on the wrong side of the fence. but-
Let them release the medical records. Let the medical records be released.
It seems that when it's firing an honest worker like Neil, that can be done pretty fast. But when it comes to firing an abuser and a man who runs a violent, abusive force, then all of a sudden we got to investigate, we got bureaucracy, we got this, I can say this, I can't say this. But you sure didn't have a hard time firing an honest worker. He speaks for it.
It's going to get worse when a college is built here. If you want to sit and stall and not do anything, when a college comes here, it's going to get 100% worse. It's going to be more people on our side. You can shrug your shoulders and act like you don't care, but it's going to get worse. You're going to have millions of college students trying to fight him and his force, okay, and it's going to get worse. You can sit here and wait as long as you
And they're about safety, not brutality. They're supposed to be patrolling and making sure that the island is safe, not beating up the people residents from the island.
Yes,
Safety. And personally, on the island is safe for me anyway. We really don't need other safety. Honestly. Okay? Exactly.
This is what you get off on, beating on the boys. You feel good, beating off the boys. You feel good, you can sleep at night, knowing that you're suffering in a hospital. You feel good.
Whoever did that absolutely right, Anthony Jones, that's disgusting. Because if that would have happened to one
I
of
just
the
want to stop
children,
Mr. Brown, because I think he's insulted us. But
Ma'am.
you are going to find
Yes,
out that we do represent more than you're insinuating. You think 30 people, you know, maybe your complaints are valid. I saw 20 people picketing. You will see. You're going to see that we represent the majority.
Sir.
You are.
Sir.
Fine, that's not an important threat, that's just a fact. Don't tell me a fact is over an opinion. I expect to hear from lots of people. I hear lots of people. Everybody knows you can talk to me anytime. Come to my office. You know where it is. Okay. And Aaron, I'm going to talk to you after you about something that happened. Okay. But I'm not threatened by people. I'm here to hear.
I'm not threatening you. I'm just saying that if you guys don't act,
If you don't do
you
what
guys
you want,
don't do the right thing,
if you don't do what you want,
continue. That is
Tell me
a
what you want.
political threat. It's not any kind of a personal threat. But yes, I'm threatening that politically, we are going to continue to build a movement that is going to force the right thing being done and get rid of this guy. And Brian, and Neil, and Torrance, and all of them.
I'm going for life. Yeah, let's go.
Thank you for letting us speak.
Yes, sir.
She gave her complaint margin. Elaine had given her